Hello and welcome to this next video in the Technical Problem Solving series, where I go over a sample technical problem solving strategy. The technical problem solving strategy that I will be showing in this video reflects the Johnson problem solving model, which I previously discussed, which follows closely our natural cognitive thinking tendencies. More advanced strategies can easily be applied to this model anywhere that the strategy aids in identifying or defining the problem, identifying potential causes, and selecting the most acceptable solution. You will see several areas in which previous steps are revisited after a particular step is completed. Please keep in mind that these arrows that are on this graphic just reference major changes and do not explicitly show every instance where a previous step is revisited. For example, when a most likely cause is invalidated, the information gathered in the first step should also be updated. Technical problem strategies should follow the Johnson problem solving as much as possible. This allows a problem solver to relate the strategy to his or her natural problem solving habits more easily. The Johnson problem solving model has four main sections. 1. Defining the problem, where information related to the problem is gathered and interpreted. Number 2. Identifying possible causes, in which the most likely causes or hypotheses are identified and ranked based upon how likely they are to occur. Number 3. Testing each possible cause, where the most likely possible cause is selected and tested for. Information related to the problem and the cause is recorded, and the results of the test are interpreted and the possible cause is validated. The fourth section, applying a solution to retesting, identifies the best solution to resolve the possible cause, applies the solution to the system, and then retests the system to verify the solution has resolved the problem. Note that there can be interactions between all four sections based upon the progress of any problem solving. For example, an individual who finds that some of the information he or she has relied on was flawed could return to the define the problem portion of the model to gain information that's been created since the last time the step was performed and revalidate all of the information used within the new context. Here is the basic technical problem solving strategy that I will be using to illustrate what is called a split half or a branch and prune strategy. This type of strategy is a typical fault isolation strategy in which a problem space is reduced until the most probable cause is identified. This strategy walks through how to define the problem, identify the problem space and possible causes, test each possible cause for validity, and apply a solution and retest the system to verify that the problem has been resolved. This basic problem-solving strategy has 9 steps, including the end of the problem-solving process, that walks the problem solver through a basic problem-solving strategy. Gather information, define the problem, identify possible causes, select the most likely cause, test the most likely cause, validate the selected cause, applying a solution, testing the solution, and ensuring that the problem is resolved. In this step, the problem solver gathers all the information available up to the point that the problem solving has started. A list of all the individuals involved in the problem solving should be included, not as a tool to place blame, but instead to use as a means to clarify any inconsistent or confusing facts that may occur. A statement of the desired state can be helpful if it may be unclear as to what the end state of the problem solving should be. The statement typically includes verbiage describing the normal operating state of the system, or, if the normal operating state is not the desired state, what the expected outcome of the problem solving is. The problem solver may tend to return to this statement frequently so as to ensure that they are on scope with the goal of the problem solving. More advanced users may wish to include previous maintenance performed as an aid in determining if the problem may have been induced due to previous maintenance. Maintenance actions should be listed since the point that the problem first appeared. This step should include both system-related and non-system-related maintenance and any parts that may be changed that may be related to the problem space. Once again, more advanced problem solvers may also wish to include each verified instance that the problem occurred. This is helpful in identifying patterns in the event the problem is intermittent in nature. In more robust problem-solving strategies, the problem solver can compare the timeline of the intermittent failures to other information to determine any relevant patterns between factors, such as between operators and failures, or between environmental factors and failures. In this step, a problem statement should be written that describes a problem as it has been observed or as it differs from desired system operation. The problem statement should focus on the following elements. what components or items demonstrated the failure, where the failure occurred, in essence, the specific area or environment that the failure occurred in, when the failure occurred, such as unique timing related to the failure and the date and time the failure occurred, and the extent of the failure, basically how many times, the frequency, and intermittency, basically is it random, consistent, or related to a specific element specified earlier. In this step, we list each possible cause, sometimes called a probable cause or hypothesis, how they could be tested, and how the possible cause is related to the observed failure. It is important to identify each hypothesis that has not been verified as you progress in order to avoid confusion over which hypothesis has been examined. Note that the intent of this step is not to determine the best single hypothesis or cause, but to expand the thinking beyond what was previously considered while challenging assumptions that may have been made in previous problem solving. The challenging of assumptions is important in this step because in many cases, unverified or unvalidated information may be used to create hypotheses or possible causes that may be flawed or may accidentally point the problem solver in the wrong direction. In this step, we choose the most likely cause related to the failure. It is also possible to look at all of the identified causes and the ways they can be tested to identify the most efficient way to eliminate them. For example, if you have identified 5 problems that could be tested in the same manner, you could then perform the testing and then update the information used in identifying the possible causes to further identify which ones would then be prioritized over the others. If this step is performed after a likely cause is invalidated, the information gathered during the likely cause validation should be applied to the existing information, with the remaining most likely causes also analyzed to determine which one would be the next most likely cause. In this manner, you could see how we would move to a previous step, in this case gather information, to update the information and then flow back down as a means to verify the work and to possibly uncover any assumptions that may not be valid. In this step, you perform testing to validate the selected most likely cause, or group of most likely causes. The results of the test should be applied to all likely causes that were previously identified to better understand which is the most likely cause after the test has been performed. The intent of this step is to duplicate the failure within the problem space using a test so that the observations could be used to better understand the problem and better understand the best means to correct the problem. This step is just a continuation of the previous step in which the selected likely cause is either validated, in which case the problem solver continues to the next step, or invalidated, in which case the test results are applied to previously gathered information and the previously identified likely causes are re-examined to see which one is now the most likely cause. In either way, I would recommend that you go back to the first step, gather the information, and apply the information for future reference. Once a selected likely cause has been found to be valid, a solution is then identified. A solution can do one of 2 basic things. Either 1, mitigate the failure, which entails a short-term solution aimed at reducing the long-term impact of the failure on the operation of the system. Or, number 2, eliminate the probable cause altogether. The choice depends on both the resources available and design-based limitations. In this step, the system is retested to determine if the failure mode is still present. In the event that the failure is still present, the problem solver should return to define the problem, to re-evaluate the problem space, and validate any assumptions or information gathered during previous iterations. The problem solver can also attempt a different solution as well. This depends on the complexity of the system and the resources available to the problem solver. Although not truly a step, once we identify that the probable cause has been identified and the solution that was selected in the apply solution and retest section addressed the failure mode, then we monitor the system to ensure that the solution that has been applied performs as required. In some cases, you may perform a solution that may alter the operating parameters of the system, in which case you would gather the information and then you may want to go back to the define problem stage where we look at the desired operation of the system. For instance, let's say we replace a component in a system that may have a lifespan that may be less than the original part. we may want to look for another part that has the same form, fit, and function to give us a longer lifespan. In the example of the light bulb, we may place a light bulb with another light bulb that we had expected to last longer, but may last less longer for various reasons. In which case, we may go back and look at maybe trying to find a different light bulb, try to understand why the light bulb keeps burning out, or maybe finally redesign the system as a whole to ensure that the light bulbs don't burn out. In either case, you would observe the system to ensure that the probable cause has truly been eliminated. Just note that due to the potential of cascading probable causes, that you may fix one problem but then have another one come up. It just depends on how the failure mode is resonant within the system. Thank you very much for listening to this video. Please feel free to leave any comments down below, and I will be more than happy to respond to them and provide you any answers. I truly hope that this video has helped you to better understand how technical problem solving occurs.